Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Shift. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Mark Jeffrey, and I'm here with my co-host, Linda Lehman. And tonight, we're going to be talking about mind over matter, but a little bit beyond that as well. And the reason why we've decided tonight to talk about this type of thing is that many things in our lives can be changed with our perceptions of things and what our mind thinks. I'm going to give you a couple of little things to just kind of kick off this show, and then we're going to explore this a little bit more. One thing that I know, and my body and my mind, everything knows, I don't get the flu. I decided at some point that I don't get the flu. I have never had a flu shot, and I will never get the flu, and I know that. My daughter wasn't vaccinated. I knew that she would not be subject, or nor would she get any of these childhood illnesses, and she didn't. So I don't know how that actually worked out. I don't question it. I only know that it did work out, that she was able to go through her life and not have any of these illnesses, and nor does she get sick very often now. So I thought about all of these things and what happens inside that determines that. And it's conviction of your thoughts. And anything can happen, but a lot of things happen in my life. I'll give you another example, and I know you all know this one, but you're not thinking of it in the same way that I do. Let's say you're driving down the road and you decide that you're going to change lanes. And for some odd reason, you decide not to. And 2 seconds later, whoosh, a car in that lane goes by you that you didn't see. And what do? You go, whew, that was lucky. But I don't really know, no, I don't believe. I could be argued at this point for sure, because I know luck is out there, but I just think you make your own luck. I think that and maybe some people are going to believe this is angels, but here's what I believe. I believe that you are perceptive to the motion of air and beings and matter from other places, that you understood internally, even though you didn't consciously make that, you consciously made a decision that subconsciously was made for you by knowing that it wasn't safe to do that. I do a lot of things, and and we talked about this last week with your intuition, your gut feelings, and we're going to talk about it a lot because people ignore this way too much. I'll give you another really strange example. Driving again. I think this is where I notice it the most because it makes me laugh, is when I'm in a rush to go somewhere, and for some odd reason, there's somebody a little slower in front of me, and I decide not to pass them, and I go through radar. I don't, if everybody has that, but we have laser radar and, speed trap, whatever. And I just drift on by doing the speed limit because I made a decision not to pass. And then I'm passing, and I don't think twice about it. But it happens so often that I don't pass and that I go through speed traps, that it can't just be luck. It has to be knowing and perceiving. What is it? The flow of traffic before you. Did I feel the subtle shift in the speed of people that are ahead of me? What happened to make me open to this? I'm open to everything, but I notice things. I don't walk by things. I'm always grateful as well, because I'll always say, thank you for giving me that bit of perception that allowed me to go through that speed trap and stay where I was, stay in my lane, and not get into a car accident, to not do things like not get into business with certain people. I didn't know why, but then the reason was proven to me later by something that they did. Or don't become friends with this person. They didn't feel right when you first met them, but there was absolutely no reason why. And then somewhere along the line, something would happen, and boom, I know why I wasn't going to be, or why I didn't like them, why I didn't, warm up to them, whatever it is. There's so many of these things over there. But the other thing that happened to me just recently is because of my cancer treatments, radiation, there was a tear in my bladder, and it was a little bit concerning for me because there was no real answers. What are we going to do next? How this is going to be solved? It was a process. And I didn't know if I was really up for the process. I let it fret on my mind a little bit, which I don't like doing. And then I just let it go. I said, you know what, body? You know what you need to do. Okay, just do it. Just do whatever you need to do, and let's make this happen. Making that decision, my eating habits a little bit changed. I all of a sudden, for unknown reason, right? But the reason of conviction of what I just told my body to do, started craving water a little bit more. I was thirstier a lot more, so I started drinking some more water. I made an appointment. I pushed my doctor to get some answers. I was determined about this, but not from a real I'm determined in my head type of thing. Just it pushed me from all of my being. Every piece of me was saying, do this, do this, do this, and I didn't question it. I just did it. And then when I went for my second internal exam, my doctor was stunned. He said, your body's mending itself, and that's unheard of. This is an ongoing process, an ongoing concern, and I, at this point, have absolutely no concern that this will ever bother you again. But hey, if it ever does, give me a call, but this doesn't happen. Miracle, or just my body knowing what it's supposed to do, and me allowing it to do it without putting up restrictions on it. Linda, what say you?
Wow, Mark. I think that our bodies are amazing. I think our intuition is amazing, and when we do open up and allow and basically surrender ourselves to following this guidance that we have. Now, I know that initially you were talking about just feeling the differences in the air, and I want to kind of go back a little bit on that. Not only is it the air we breathe, the things around us, the things that you can touch, the things that you can see, even our own bodies, if you really break them down and study them, every piece of this, everything is energy. And that energy, and I know some people who get real philosophical, they may call this spirit, but for the sake of our listeners and our show, and to try to help everyone understand, it truly is energy. It's a whole bunch of molecules moving back and forth at a very high rate of speed. And the things that we can see are actually these molecules moving a little bit slower than the things that we cannot see. Like, you can't see the air, but you know that it's there. And you can't see this thing that pushes you. And together, I mean, we were designed as such marvelous beings, Mark, because we have the ability to take this energy that's flowing to and through us. I mean, Wallace Wattles called it thinking stuff. I mean, Genevieve Moran called it plastic substance of the universe. I mean, you can go back and you can study even Bibles and Korans and what is it? I can't even say the word. It's described in some form, this energy that we all live in. But the cool thing about us as human beings is that we actually were blessed with the ability, although we don't take this ability a lot of times or use it, we were blessed with the ability to take this energy that flows to and through us and focus it and make it what we want it to be. Now, the reason I say we don't always use this beautiful gift is that most of the people, most of us live through what we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. In other words, our external senses, our external environment. And so we're looking at everything going on around us, like that car in front of you, you were irritated. Okay, he's in your way, and your first impulse was to get around him. But because you're in tune, you stopped and you listened. And what you were listening to was your intuition, which kind of sits in your conscious thinking mind, but you feel it through your subconscious mind, which is the Greeks called it the heart of what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What they're talking about, the heart, is actually your subconscious mind. So what happens is all of this external stuff is being funneled into our conscious awareness, our conscious mind. And now most people make that, what they're seeing, all of this external stuff, they make that their point of thought. But when you understand that this conscious piece of you it's like an iceberg. You see this tip, this iceberg poking up out of the water. But that's probably only about 10% or so of the iceberg, because the part of the iceberg that you cannot see, the part that's under the water, is the commanding piece of the iceberg. And that, for us as human beings, that's our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, even though we don't want to admit it, our subconscious mind is actually in control. But when we're taking this energy and we're seeing all of this stuff going on around us, this external environment or disease, and we're focusing on that, that's what we're feeding to our subconscious mind. Now, this is how we connect. A lot of people talk about and think about the law of attraction. Well, it's through our subconscious mind that we're actually connecting to this universal energy, this energy that flows to and through us. And the cool thing is that it can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined, and it can't pick and choose what's good for us and what's bad for us. All it knows is whatever we give it, we're telling it we want more of, and so that's what we're getting. So, like in your case, you made the determination. Okay, we're going to find out what this is. It's not going to be here anymore. We're going to figure out how to fix it. Well, at that point in time, when you told your subconscious mind, let's figure out how to fix it, and then you didn't stew over it, you just let it go. This was like your command to the universe saying, I want perfect health. I want this to be fixed. And so you're giving these signals to all of the cells in your body saying, okay, let's fix this. And so it did. There was a marvelous book by Bruce Lipton called The Biology of Belief. Dr. Lipton used to teach medical school students cellular biology. And, he taught for years that it was actually the nucleus of the cell that controlled everything. And then, I know you heard it for years and years that your genes control your health and there's nothing you can do about that. But what Dr. Lipton discovered was that your genetics were only a small, even less than 10% of your overall physical being. And so he started studying cell structure, and he discovered that it's not the nucleus of the cell that controls the cell. It's actually the membrane that receives the signals. And he also discovered that it even goes further than that, and it's actually environment. And when he started breaking down environment, he realized within our human bodies, it's not necessarily our physical environment. It's not necessarily what we're giving our bodies. Just as an example, some people, my grandparents, my grandparents lived into their 90s, and they ate what some people today would say is absolutely ridiculous. It'll kill you at 40. Every breakfast was bacon, eggs, biscuits, and gravy. They were raised in the South, okay? So that didn't kill them. But for some people, it would. So it's not necessarily your physical environment. Dr. Lipton discovered that, in a human, it's actually our thoughts and our feelings that can actually control down to the molecular level of our cells. And so he did experiments with petri dishes and everything. So and he was able to show he made cells sick, but then he put them back in a healthier environment. And they healed themselves without any medication or any interruption of that. So intuition is what gives us those nudges and those signals, pointing us in the right direction, because our being, our core, our source, wants us to succeed, and it is coming to us from a place of well-being. It's when we ignore it, Mark, I've ignored my intuition more times than I really care to confess to, and every single time I've ignored it, something has happened, and it was a negative something that happened. So, I have to back up and say, thank you, okay, I get it, I learned the lesson, next time I'll listen to you, because every time I listen to that nudge, whether I understand or not where it's taking me, it always turns out for the best. Now, I know I've rambled and I've thrown a lot of stuff out there at you, Mark. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, there are a lot of, and here's what I think about that. I think that people will say hogwash. I think people will say that never happens to me. I'm never lucky. I never get a shot. And realistically, you're right where you need to be here right now today, because you need to start paying attention to small little things. And I'll tell you, small little things. You got kids, and you walk from your bedroom to their bedroom in the middle of the night, and in the morning you get up and quietly, and you check on them, they're quietly asleep, you make it back to your bed, you go back to bed. In the morning you find out that whole hallway was strewn with toys, and you didn't hit or step on one of them, right?
Right.
Every day things like this happen, and that's where you start. You start with, that's amazing, and listen to that. And pay attention to that. Linda, you always say it too. Like when the hairs on the back of your arms go up, that's a reaction to something, and it's something that it either scares you or even excites you, but it touches you all the way down to your core, so your body has no other way to do but make a reaction to allow you to see it, so you understand how important it was. So next time the hairs on your arm stand up, pay attention to what was going on. And it'll happen sometimes, and you'll notice this. And once you guys start noticing things, you'll start playing games with this. Trust me, I know I did. I would be in an airport, and the hairs on my arms would stand up. And that was somebody moving past me who I did not know. There was either exciting my sense of smell to make me pay attention, or interacting with my fight or flight. Now, did I walk by somebody that's my future husband? Did I walk by somebody that's going to make an impact in my life? Did I walk by a serial murderer? I don't know, but they had impact. And people, they go, oh, that's hokey pokey, that's, whatever. All these mediums and people like that, they're just not, they're not magic. You're right in saying that. They're not, but they are so perceptive to everything that you do. The way your eyes look and how you start to breathe, just that little shift. And that's what Linda and I are all about, because we've learned over time that those things matter. And Linda's right. I have done the same thing. I've gone against my better judgment, or my intuition, my common sense, and I paid a huge price for it. And never, ever, not in one time, did I pay a price for listening and paying attention. So we can start with the little things, right, Linda, with driving your car, and every time that you are going to make a lane change but you don't, and a car goes by, say, wow, did I ever call that one good? Man, am I ever in tune with things? If you start talking like that to yourself, just in little things, eventually you're going to get to the bigger things where you're open to everything. Your smell gets better. Your mind gets sharper in certain times when it really needs to be. And again, Linda, you're right. My grandma and grandpa were from the farm too, and ate that same way, lived way into their 90s, and healthy. They was on the tractor every day. I didn't see them in a hospital not one whole time. Until they got into the very, very elderly, and it was just slip and fall and whatever happens there. So can you do it? Is mind over matter? Is mind over matter magic, or can it be learned? Good question, right, Linda?
It is a great question, and I have the most exciting answer that we can give any of our listeners. Yes, it can be learned. It is not magic. It's there for each and every one of us if we want it. I was giggling about your story in the airport because I do the same thing. Only what I like to do is because we're all energetically connected, and everyone's experienced this, you can feel, if you open yourself up to it, you can actually feel the energy of the other people around you, and I think that's what you were alluding to, Mark. So one of the little, games that I play a lot of times when I'm going through the airport is I'll just open up because I love to people watch, and now I like to people feel with not physically touching them, of course, because that sounded bad, didn't it?
I just had such an image in my head right there, Linda. Okay.
Okay, this show's going downhill quick. Anyway, I open myself up and to feel the energy coming from the other people that I encounter. And airports, you get tons of signals coming from everywhere. Some people are excited. They're really loving. Maybe they're going on vacation or something. And I feel it in my chest area. Is where I usually pick all of this up, where it's just kind of an exciting type feel. And so one time I was totally open, because you have to be careful, because when you open yourself up to all of this energy, it can have an impact on you and your mood and the way you feel. So you want to be careful, because this is really the way, as human beings, we communicate. Most of our communication is not verbal, but is actually through picking up the other person's vibes, if you will. So this one time I was being open and playing my little game, and I was coming down the escalator I was in Atlanta, as a matter of fact. I was going down the escalator to the train, and so I was just kind of feeling the energy of the people going the opposite direction on the up escalator, and all of a sudden, it's almost like somebody punched me in the stomach. This horrible negative feeling just went wham, and I looked and I caught the eye of where this energy was coming from, and I was just telling myself, shut down, quick, because that person, as you said, they could have been a mass murderer. They could have been somebody who was about to go postal. I don't know, but it was horrible negative energy, and so I shut myself off really quickly and said, don't get it, because I didn't want that to impact the rest of my day. But it was kind of scary, and so after I got on the tram, I was just like, whew, man, that was close. I'm so thankful I recognized that and shut down really quickly. Otherwise, Mark, when we're not conscious of this, it can work for us, but it can also work against us. Like if somebody that we know or that we're coming in contact with is in a very, very foul mood, all of a sudden we can be in a bad mood and we don't even know why, right? Yep. It's because we picked up their energy.
Well, and it goes for all of that too, right? When people are excited about something, and they all start running in a direction, and everybody starts running in the direction, but they have no idea why they're running in that direction, and they don't stop and make good choices for themselves, like maybe running off the side of a cliff would not be the best thing for you, or doing business with a specific company just because everybody's running in that direction may not be good for you. And we don't, and we do that. Darn, I wish I would have listened to myself when I had the opportunity, because now I'm so far into it. And I think on the internet now, we talk about this a lot, Linda, because we're entrepreneurs and we're public, is that every little thing you do or every little mistake you might make is now amplified by the amount of people that can see you making that mistake. And sometimes people jump into the wrong thing and then they tell it to the world, and it's too hard to take back, even though I know they would have wished they did that. And a prime example of that is even married, coming up to marriage vows, right? And you're there and you're going, this just isn't right, but how do I disappoint all these people? I'm going to have to give all the gifts back. And you go through with the marriage, and then 6 months, a year later, the inevitable happens. We don't listen to things. We do things too quickly. We go on a whim. And I know I do. I do that, but I believe I've honed my intuition, and I depend on it to help me make the right choices for me. So oftentimes when my friends say, well, let's do this, or this is a good business idea, I'm reluctant, and I'll say no. And it may hurt their feelings. It may, it might even damage a relationship. But the reality is I have to make decisions based on what I feel is right for me. And maybe it's not always the best for other people. You kind of have to stand there, right, Linda?
Yeah, you do. And when you listen and when you stand for what you feel and you know is best for you, it will actually eventually show like if in the situation with a friend who you say no to, and then they get upset, your example will shine on them and bring them back around to, oh, I guess you're right, that was the best decision for you. We are only responsible for ourselves, and a lot of times we get into that horrible game that a lot of people play of, oh, I don't want to upset this person, or I want to make sure that they're happy with me, they don't get mad at me, and so we do things sometimes that is contrary to what our intuition is telling us, just so somebody else won't get upset, and that's the wrong thing to do, because we're only enabling them, number one, but number two, it's going to come back to bite us. It's probably going to come back to bite both of us. In the long run, it's going to be a lose-lose for everyone. So even though people may be putting you down, making fun of you, or whatever, because you're following your intuition, you're following your internal guidance, it will always come out best for not only you, but actually for everyone around you. So I can't stress enough to follow that internal guidance, and we all have it. And some people say, well, I don't feel my intuition. Well, I like to look at, we actually have 6 intellectual faculties. I like to call them mental muscles, and intuition is one of those. And as with any muscle, like if you go to the gym and you start exercising your muscles, they go strong, they grow stronger. Or you might hold, let's just, for a few weeks, only exercise one arm. You're going to be able to tell a major difference between the two. But then when you take the weaker arm and then you start exercising it, then it grows stronger, and then they match each other again. Your intuition is like one of those muscles. It's the same. So when you begin to exercise it, when you begin to notice and follow the guidance, however small that guidance, and it's going to be usually just this internal feeling of openness, like, oh yes, I want to go this direction, and you can test it. If you feel like you're hitting up against a brick wall, it's like, oh, something's stopping me. I want to go this way, but there's this little warning signal. You might ask, okay, I hear you. Should I go this way instead? Should I make this decision? And wait and see what it feels like. Because one answer, should I do this? One answer is going to be no. In other words, you're going to feel kind of closed off, or maybe a little, a little woozy in your tummy. But if you say, well, should I make this decision? Ask yourself, what about this decision, which is usually the opposite, maybe the opposite end. and you're probably going to feel open, and you're going to feel like, I'm going to take a deep breath. You know how you feel when you take a really deep, deep breath and you let it out? It's just so relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
That's your guidance, and you can start exercising it that way. But as Mark alluded to earlier, when you do that, when you follow that guidance, shoot some gratitude out there. Say, oh, thank you. I'm so grateful that you helped me make this decision, or you guided me in this direction. Thank you so much. Acknowledge it, or isn't this funny? This is great. I went this way. Start acknowledging it, and that's the way you begin to strengthen that intuition muscle that you're all blessed with. Everybody's blessed with.
Yep, you betcha, Linda. And, here we are again at the bottom of our half hour. And I think, we need to talk a little bit more about this and come up with some ways that people can really seriously, if they want to, start working those muscles. Maybe we'll come up with me next time with some exercises, or perhaps we'll even put them on our site. It's whentheshifthitsthefan.com. You can go there, and now just as we leave you here today, Linda's sites are up, breastcancerhealingpath.com. She started this to help the people who are going through this journey with her. Many of you may not even know us. Linda is going through that. And I don't say going through it. She is not dealing with it or going through with it. She is actually on an adventurous journey from her perspective, which makes this easier for everyone else, but mostly for herself. And that's something that if you want to go on that site, if you're in that situation, certainly do. Go and read. She's got incredible information there, as well as lindalehman.com. She's the personal development diva, and Mark's View. It's all about Mark, and I have a view. So I just want to say good night to all of our listeners. Thank you so very much for dropping in again. We definitely appreciate you and hope that this is going to help you. Good night, Linda.
Good night, Mark.